5:30 on the dot, Monday, March 16th. Welcome inside the channel. Appreciate you guys for being with me tonight. For those of you that are in the Baltimore area, hopefully you're staying safe. DC, Baltimore area. Here there's some gnarly tornadoes either forming or have already formed, but high winds, rain, you name it. Hopefully you guys are out of harm's way. Ironically, down here in St. Petersburg, Florida, we've got some gnarly storms coming through here as well. I've got my bathroom currently in Tilly storm mode. What I do is I throw the sound machine in there. I put the blinds down. It's like a barn door style sliding door action. So I close that. I put her bed in there. I open up the closet. So she's got her own little cozy, almost fortress like featured cave, if you will. So anyway, that's what's going on down here. But I've got a lot to discuss because DeAndre Hopkins, who's in the middle of a vacation, last time I checked, in Tanzania on an African safari, at least that's the way it looks on his Instagram page. He has since deleted his tweet earlier today that certainly shared his true feelings, or part of his true feelings, about how last season went for him and what was his loan season with the Ravens. Could he be re-signed and a part of their 2026 calculations? Sure, but we'll have to wait and see because there's a completely new regime, and I don't have a feel for how they'll go about business in terms of the veteran free agent wide receiver market. From there, we'll talk a little bit about some of the other wide receivers that would fit that bill and those that have already signed, including most recently within the last hour or so, Christian Kirk joining the San Francisco 49ers. He was one of the many unrestricted free agent veteran wide receivers that could have been an option for the Ravens. Thanks to Preston Automotive Group and FanDuel for the continued support of the program. If you guys could on the way in, please like the video, hit that notification bell, consider subscribing and helping me inch closer and closer to that 30,000 subscription milestone that I'm chasing after both here and inside the vault. We'll be live on the Collective tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern. Let's first, before we move forward, quickly rewind. Nick Mason, great fan of the Ravens from England overseas, was just going back and forth with him on X a short while ago. I know he's itching for another London game. Perhaps the Ravens will play overseas this upcoming fall. Maybe that ends up being in Brazil. Maybe it's in Madrid. Maybe it's back in London, just like it was in 2023 against the Tennessee Titans. But Nick tweeted out, some clips and was advocating that a DeAndre Hopkins would be a fit again in Baltimore on a re-signing. And he said if the Ravens are in the market for a veteran wide receiver, which you'd suspect that they are, right? Nick does, I do, maybe a lot of you do out there as well. They should do a deal to bring DeAndre Hopkins back to Baltimore. And DeAndre, in a since-deleted tweet, had this to say, like you see on the screen. How many times after this do you think I was used in the red zone? Again, there's a clip that Nick has there of highlights. When targeted, I'm still one of the most productive, but never complained with my snaps and never will. Facts. Again, that has since been deleted. I'd have to think his representation got a hold of him and it was like, hey, let's go cooler heads prevail here, even though there's no question. Your resume, your character, your media availability all throughout your time in Baltimore speaks for itself. He was the consummate professional. When the ball did come his way, which is not often, he had a sure pair of hands. He was reliable. He can still separate, maybe not at his once elite level, but DeAndre can still go get you a 50-50 ball. DeAndre can still be relied upon in high leverage moments when you need the chain to move, when you need 3 or 4 yards here and there. He's going to be there when his number's called. Now, again, it's a small sample size of volume in 2025. He finished with 22 receptions on 39 targets. That included 330 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns in 17 games played. And again, something that I made note of back in December when they were scratching and clawing at postseason contention is something he shared with local media about his role to date at that time. And I went back and clipped it this morning. I played it on the vault this afternoon, just in case you missed it. I'll play it again because he was and is the consummate professional and will continue to be. But it doesn't mean he actually has, doesn't actually have true feelings and maybe even some sour feelings about how it went volume and role wise in 2025 with the Ravens.
I'm out there on the field. I try to do what I can. Obviously, I'm always be a competitor and have a mumble mentality till the day I retire. And even after that, I probably still, will have that mentality. Like, I feel like, I'm one of the best players on the field. Statistically, if that's not the case, that's always been my mindset. And so coming here, this off season, obviously, there's a lot of guys that deserve the ball on this team, and we have a good offense. So, I wasn't, and I'm not upset that, things, aren't, statistically, where I expected myself to be. But, we're in a position to play, a big game this coming week, next weekend. And that's, that to me, that means more than statistics, going out there playing meaningful football.
So again, this tweet that we kind of started the day off of is actually, not in line with the way DeAndre handled himself all throughout the season and much throughout his career. So if I'd have to put 2 and 2 together and speculate a little bit here, he's in Africa. He's enjoying himself on vacation. He's scrolling through X. He sees Nick's tweets. He sees everybody else weighing in on him as any star receiver or once star who's past his prime but still has left to give would do. And he decided to act out on it and click send. We've all been there. Lord knows I've clicked send a million times, maybe not that much, but a handful of times over the years where you instantly regret it. And I'd have to think his representation was just like, hey, look, we have plans. You have plans of being in this league again. And anything that might hurt your value, not that that tweet would, but anything that might cause a negative distraction or attention in the wrong way, let's just take it down. I'd have to think that's what it was. Again, this is out of character, if you will. I don't think it's a big deal at all, but it is not in line with what we saw from a very stoic, confident, and supportive to the overall operation, DeAndre Hopkins in 2025. But obviously that operation changed significantly at the top, on the offensive side of the ball, at the coordinator level, and personnel-wise. And so moving forward, it's unclear whether or not DeAndre will be in the Ravens' plans. But I do want to know how you guys are feeling about this. We're coming up on 200 votes thus far in this evening's poll, and where I ask, hey, which veteran wide receiver should the Ravens be targeting? And so far, D-Hop does lead the way at 56%. We're going to get into some of these other names as well that I decided to throw in the poll today. Jawan Jennings is at 24%. Deebo Samuel, who spent last year with the Commanders, is at 15%. And Keenan Allen, I decided to throw in the veteran Keenan Allen for shits and giggles. He is at 5%. So that's where things stand with the poll. Let's talk a little bit about what it might look like, though, for DeAndre, because these were the figures last year, aka if they want to run it back this year in 2026, it is very manageable. He signed a 1-year, $5 million base value deal with the Ravens for the 2025 season. It was fully guaranteed. There were 4 void years for cap purposes, $1 million in incentives that he did not hit. And you see the way the cap hits played out for the Ravens on their books. Just north of $2 million in 25, and the void year that was attached to 2026, this upcoming season, came in at just north of 2.9. So the moral of the story here is if they want to bring DeAndre Hopkins back and that feeling is mutual and he wants to get another shot, another crack at it with Lamar, with Derrick Henry, and with this new regime that's taking over in Baltimore, you'd like to think that this can get done and get done right away whenever they want to. This is a deal that while he didn't exceed the expectations that come with a deal like this, I think we all believe that from a volume standpoint, if he were to be given the opportunity to exceed the expectations that come along with this type of veteran number here and this type of veteran structure, then he would be capable of doing that. Now, look, at the same time, okay, for those of you who want to get younger, want to utilize and fully see what you have with the wide receiver room that has a Zay Flowers, that has a Rashad Bateman, that has a Devontae Walker, I get it. And you may want to go in a different direction. But the way you could round out that room right now is draft a wide receiver at some point, which they inevitably will, through the 3 days of the 2026 NFL draft last weekend in April. Where that might be, day 1, day 2, day 3 remains to be seen. But there's some talented wide receivers that'll be there available at 14 and maybe just maybe even at 45 as well. So you bring in a rookie and you bring in typically, based on their standards in recent seasons from a team building standpoint, a veteran. And you're looking at a wide receiver room that, again, has Zay, has Bate, has Tez, has a rookie, and has a veteran. The latter two of those still yet to be signed. As it relates to LeJontay Wester, he will be a part of that equation as a former day 3 pick last April out of Colorado. For the most part, though, I'd have to think he would mostly factor in from a specialist standpoint on special teams in the return game. But he's shifty, he's quick, he can be used in misdirection types of packages. He can be used in jet sweep types of packages, and perhaps they want to see what they can do with him in this new look Declan Doyle offense. He is an option for them. I'd have to think that they'll be moving on from Tylan Wallace. Best wishes to him moving forward. I'd be surprised if he's back. So what's gone on since? What's going on in the veteran market? The 49ers not only signed Mike Evans within the last couple weeks, but they've also signed veteran wide receiver Christian Kirk to a 1-year, $6 million deal, which is very similar to the one. I don't know how they structured it and if there's void years or all that. But in terms of the value, like we just had up on the screen for DeAndre in 25, it's very similar. So Mike Evans and Christian Kirk join the San Francisco 49ers. Mike, of course, is coming off an injury-riddled season. It snapped his streak of 1,000-yard seasons, which was up there with the great Jerry Rice. And at age 32, he still feels like he has something left to give. I know I would have signed up for him in Baltimore. I know that. A lot of you are focusing on the complement and the complementary type player to go with a Zay Flowers, which takes the likes of Marquise Brown, for example, out of the equation, being that while he and Zay play the game differently from a physicality standpoint and stylistically, they do have similar measurables. Both are 5'8", 5'9", $170, $180, call it, which fluctuates on a year-to-year basis. Mike Evans, your true prototypical big body X wide receiver. We'll see what he has left in the tank. He is off the board, as is Christian Kirk as of earlier this afternoon. The Giants, meanwhile, are signing wide receiver Darnell Mooney. It's 1 year, worth up to $10 million. So that's John Harbaugh and Jackson Dart's latest pass catcher. The Colts, as we learned earlier this month, kept Alec Pierce in-house. They dealt Michael Pittman Jr. to Pittsburgh. That was sort of a pick swap trade type deal. And they keep Alec Pierce with them. He would have been compelling, but they paid him an astronomical contract in the form of an extension to keep him around. So Alec Pierce remains an Indianapolis Colt. The Patriots quickly signed Romeo Doubs to a 4-year deal worth up to $70 million. And I just don't know if that's the ballpark that the Ravens are willing to hang around in at this position, knowing that they're probably planning on extending Zay Flowers in the next year or so, who is eligible for an extension. Knowing that, I'd have to think that the Jawan Jennings potential projected price would be north of what they're willing to do, but I'll get there when I get there. Rashid Shaheed is staying in Seattle with the Super Bowl champion Seahawks, and Wan'Dale Robinson landed with the Tennessee Titans, just as we kind of work our way through some of the veterans, some of the free agent wide receivers who have landed elsewhere in the last week or so. This continues to be an interesting storyline because there's some uncertainty attached to it, and that is the future of one Stefon Diggs. Diggs, of course, had a phenomenal season, regular season that is, with the New England Patriots. It was year 1 in Foxborough, but now he's dealing with some legal issues. And depending on how that all shakes out in court, as the judiciary system works, right? The judicial system, that is, there's a potential elephant in the room being, will he be punished? Will he be suspended at some point, depending on how that process plays out in the 2026 season? So while he's still got more left in the tank, as he showed last year in New England, there's a headache. There's a level of potential headache that you are investing in. And will that investment even pay off in the form of availability for 17 games? So that's a lot of questions for that level of risk that comes for Stefon Diggs. And I'd have to think that he is available at this point for obvious reasons, that being the legal side of things. But one to watch. Deebo Samuel, just a year ago, March 1st of 2025, the 49ers traded him to the Commanders for a 5th-round pick. That was just a year ago. I reached out to someone I trust from Commanders side of things to get an idea of what happened last year in year 1 in Washington. And here's the response that I got back. This is regarding Deebo. And remember, Jaden Daniels was out the majority of the season. He says, good year, second best reception-wise of his career, healthy for the most part. Would have been an even better season for Jaden had Jaden played more than 4 complete games. That was the season in a nutshell. Too many injuries led by the 2024 NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year, missing most of the season. So that tells me that he felt like Deebo Samuel still got more left to give, and he was healthy for the most part last year. It was more of a product of the carousel that they had at quarterback, knowing that Jaden Daniels just could not stay on the field. So perhaps Deebo gaining some legs in the poll. I'll get an update on that in just a bit. He is available and on the open market as a free agent. Jalen Nailor is signing with the Las Vegas Raiders. So that's a new weapon for likely Fernando Mendoza. The Ravens' 54th man has left us a super chat. And he says, 1, JJ, if the money is right. 2, Deebo for the fit. 3, Keenan Allen. When you say JJ, you're talking about Jawan, correct? I would think. Because you're going to have to give up the kitchen sink and then some for Justin Jefferson. I think we all know that. The Ravens' 54th man. Appreciate the super chat. We'll talk about Keenan Allen in just a bit as well. I do have some Spotrac wide receivers that weren't on the slides that I've prepared for you today. And I don't know if this is fully updated as of within the last hour, because I see Christian Kirk's name on there, who was just signed, like I mentioned, by San Francisco. So I'll refresh it to see if, okay, he's still there. Just disregard his name. We know he's off the table now. And let's go ahead and just kind of get this a little bit more compact. So here are some of your unrestricted free agent veteran wide receivers and where they might be in terms of projected value. And they're also included is the previous average annual value as well, to take a look at, where they were at most recently. And I want to make sure I actually minimize this a little bit, because the market value is the projected number that we're going to want to take a look at right now, right? So Tyreek, his previous AAV in Miami was $30 million. I mean, Spotrac has his market value plummeting, cutting that number in half, for example. Diggs takes a plummet as well, from 21 to just over 13. Christian Kirk went from 18 to 5. Now, what did I have Kirk at for what he just signed with San Francisco? Did I have those numbers with me? I think I did. It was similar to D-Hop's, right? There it is. 1 year, $6 million. And when I say similar to D-Hop, I'm going back to this time last year when Spotrac had Nuke's numbers in Baltimore, which was 1 year for $5 million in terms of his base value. Okay. And the Thunder and Lightning is getting gnarly down here in St. Pete. Tilly is not going to be happy around the corner right now in the bathroom. Back to this list. Throw this up here. Is there anyone that, and I did throw Keenan Allen in there. Keenan, of course, is coming off a year where he returned to the Chargers, where he spent the majority of his career. I'd have to think retirement is getting pretty close for him. He's 33. He's been around since the 2013 draft out of California. Spent 24 in Chicago. Okay, he's a long ways away from his Pro Bowl years, which was 17 to 21, 23. He's the comeback player of the year all the way back in 2017, but he would occupy that type of complimentary role when you stack him up against what you have in Zay Flowers. So he's one of the many on this list. We've talked about Diggs. We've talked about Kirk, who's now not available, having gone to San Francisco. We've talked about Deebo Samuel. We have not talked about Curtis Samuel, nor have we spoken on Marquise Hollywood Brown. We have talked a little bit about Jawan Jennings. I'd have to think that that's a number. Take a look. Take a look at what market value is right now. I think he's going to get a team that's willing to pay him more handsomely than the Ravens will be willing to pay. That's what my gut's telling me on one Jawan Jennings. I'm not saying it wouldn't be a good fit. He would be a complimentary fit. Matter of fact, I checked in with my San Francisco plug, and this is what I got in response to Jawan. Went from being the 49ers slot receiver and third down specialist to being their starting X when Ayuk got injured. Would have been the Super Bowl MVP had they won it. Was Purdy's favorite target at wide receiver in crucial moments. Great blocker when he's motivated and happy. Slow. Excellent at making contested catches. A solid number 2. I mean, all that sounds great, which is part of the reason why I think he's going to get paid. Also part of the reason why you see his AAV projected to be what you're looking at there. R. Young wants to know if there's any idea what Jax is asking for Brian Thomas Jr. You know, this name keeps coming up and up and up, and I haven't seen any true smoke out there that they're willing to shop him around. He's a first round pick out of LSU from 24. And that's where he's been. He had a great rookie year, named to a Pro Bowl, literally in year 1, right out of the gate. But I haven't seen any legit evidence that, again, he might be being shopped by his organization. Matter of fact, I've got something for you as of just a couple days ago from Albert Breer. And he had this to say. Quote, I can tell you unequivocally the Jaguars have no plans to trade him. They aren't entertaining it right now. I don't see the Jaguars entertaining it unless some sort of Godfather offer comes along. The Ravens don't typically engage in Godfather offers. Now, do they? Unless, of course, it's a Friday night in March when I'm in Killington, Vermont, and they decide to back up the Brinks trunk in the form of multiple first-round picks for Max Crosby. Then they'll engage. Let's go engage with the guest lines, shall we? I appreciate you guys for being with me. 90 seconds on the clock, and we've got a packed waiting room. Thanks for being with me tonight. If you could like the video on your way in or out, subscribe, hit that notification bell, consider becoming a channel member or gift-giving membership this offseason. I'd appreciate it. We'll get back to more Super Chats as they come in. And I'm asking you guys tonight, which veteran wide receiver in free agency, they'll target somebody come draft weekend, but which veteran wide receiver should the Ravens be targeting in the coming days and weeks ahead in the latter half of free agency? Chronological order in terms of how you came in, 90 seconds on the clock. Wes, the floor is yours, brother. Good to have you with me.
What's up, man? As far as the poll goes, I think they all have their benefits. I think that Jawan will be the most exciting if they get him. I think he's got the most upside. He's the youngest. He's the tallest. He can be that X guy. I think Deebo, because he's had a down year or two, he can be like the biggest bang for your buck. Because I think he's only 30 or 31. D-Hop, I wouldn't mind. I kind of get tired of signing the 34, 35-year-old receivers to one-year deals for them to have like 400 yards and a couple touchdowns. But we got a new offense, so I don't know what it's going to look like. So I wouldn't mind it. Wouldn't be my favorite, but I wouldn't hate it. I think it'll be interesting, though, to see how they go about addressing the wide receiver room, because we've seen like Tyson mocked to us at 14. We don't know whether they're going to take a receiver or O-line but next year, the free agent class and the draft class are both, to my understanding, deeper and more talented at the wide receiver position. So is this something that they want to address now and kind of roll the dice with Zay's contract and kind of push it off a year? Or is this something they want to go in more aggressive with this year? or load the trenches. I think it'll be kind of interesting to see how they address the next couple of years between the trenches and the receivers, given the talent class that we got this year and next year.
Well, let me ask you this on your way out. You think that they've seen enough? Have you seen enough as a fan from Zay Flowers to ensure your confidence that he is worthy of an extension that would be very uncharacteristic of what they've done with homegrown wide receivers? I mean, you can go out at 30 plus years of sample size. It is not often that, one, they cash in on the first round at that position. Two, it ends up working out like Zay has. You've got a perennial Pro Bowler. And when I say perennial, a multi-time Pro Bowler so far. Is he every other team's, all 31 outside of Baltimore's, number one guy? No, but I think that's beside the point. What does he bring to them? He's brought them value. He's brought them clutch moments. He's brought them explosiveness, a sure pair of hands for the most part, and obviously that off-schedule rapport with Lamar. So have you seen enough from him? Because if you have, next year may not matter in terms of the loaded free agency class because they're going to have him on the books instead.
Yeah, I think obviously it depends on the price, right? I don't think he's a $27 million a year receiver. I don't think he is got the size or production to be that paid like a number one receiver. I think he's got the best of Hollywood Brown, like the speed, the agility, but he's got better hands. I think him and Lamar have a better connection. I think he's the best receiver they've obviously drafted in a long time. So I think he deserves to be paid like a good number two. But I don't think I wouldn't break the bank paying 25, 26, 27, upwards of 30 million for him. Like some teams would who have the money for him.
His representation in the market may dictate otherwise, but I hear what you're saying. Thanks for the call, brother.
See you, man.
Mr. Man Cave. Look at that place. He's done a good job on that, hasn't he? Appreciate Wes for the call. If you guys want to share a thought with me, please do so. Jordan Tyson, the Arizona State wide receiver, on 97 targets last season. Okay. He had one drop. He was targeted 97 times, one drop with that pretty good volume right there. So you're getting a sure-handed type guy. For those of you that have been following along with Jordan, he is a 6'2", 203-pound wide receiver. Got good size, got good big playability, and perhaps the Ravens are taking a close look at him depending on what his draft stock becomes over the next month plus. 90 seconds on the clock. Mr. Columbus. And then on to Mr. DC. Hopefully everybody's staying safe. Thought there'd be a tornado in the live chat this evening, but then what's his face, who always runs his mouth in my comment section, I call them out specifically, Orno style or something like that. I don't know what the hell that means. I let him know that I'd like him to bring his tornado ass onto the program in the form of a guest line call, and he just decided to quiver, kind of like Fumble Flock. What are you going to do? Here's the invitation, by the way. I'll just throw that up on the screen before I go back to the guest lines. Orno style 942. If you can hear me, I certainly can't hear you. Call in, brother. Looking forward to hearing from you. Trey, who's your guy? Who's your daddy? Welcome into the program, brother.
How's it going, Bobby?
Good to see you, man.
Hey, good to see you, man. Everybody in there, I think I would pick D-Hop at this moment. But I just don't. I mean, we're just gonna wait until the draft. I mean, it's looking that way. It's trending that way. Don't you guys think? I mean, I don't see us pulling no trigger no time soon until after the draft. And I'm kind of big on actually kind of doing some research on a prospect that a lot of people aren't talking about, which is Jeff Carwell, UC.
Say it again?
Jeff Carwell.
Okay.
Out of UC.
Yeah, I haven't looked into him.
Yeah, big body receiver, aggressive. He attacks the ball. He attacks the football when the ball's in the air. Kind of like the receiver that outside X that they need. He's not talked about enough, but he is older. He's 25, but at the same time, that's something that could look into in the middle rounds, so second or third. But yeah, man, I don't know. D Hop is my guy, but I was trying to tell you something earlier about. I didn't know if you heard about what happened with Atlanta's swing tackle. What he said about Atlanta. I don't know if you've seen that news. He was one of Langford's guys, Elijah Wilkinson. You can look it up online if you get a chance.
How do you summarize it though?
Elijah Wilkinson. You're talking about the guy, or are you talking about my pick?
Wait, you lost me. So who said what about Atlanta's operation? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Elijah Wilkinson said that they're running a clown show in Atlanta. So good luck with that. He bashed his former team, saying like the front office doesn't hear the coaches out and stuff like that. So it's good that he left. But he was their swing player in Atlanta. He was a swing lineman. Like he played guard for Langford and he played right tackle. So he did whenever. I mean, this is Langford's guy, kind of going into it, but hey,
this isn't an indictment against what Ledford did. It's the owner. It's ownership and front office.
It's ownership, because you got to look at their draft. Atlanta didn't get to draft as many linemen too, and it's like Langford never had that voice. You can tell that he's excited about what he's getting in Atlanta. I mean, getting in Baltimore, because he has that voice where, hey, let's get a John Simpson. Let's get somebody else I like. He never had that voice in Atlanta that I was hearing from Atlanta fans. They all signaled the same way that Elijah feels.
Copy that. Appreciate it, Trey. Good seeing you, man.
Problem.
Guest lines are open if you'd like to share a thought. Waiting room's cooking right now. And don't come in here talking shit about Zay and not expect to hear from Femi, who's in the live chat right now. He's already letting it rip. Miss Fancy Pants says, Bobby, you got to take that graphic down. LOL. What graphic? What graphic are you talking about? DeAndre's graphic? These are the figures right here that he could come back to Baltimore on should he want to. I don't know if he wants to be back based on his tweet from earlier this morning from an African safari in Tanzania. I don't know if he enjoyed his low-level volume type role in Baltimore, even though he was a consummate pro the entire season. But I know that a lot of you, including the majority of today's poll participants, would welcome a return for DeAndre Hopkins. We're nearing 400 total votes if you haven't yet voted, and DeAndre leads the way at 57% in terms of which veteran wide receiver the Ravens should be targeting, according to public opinion today. Jawan Jennings comes in at 22%, Deebo Samuel at 15%, Keaton Allen is 6%. Oh, I see what she's saying, that you think that the Ravens are signing DeAndre based on that graphic. Just so everyone knows, this is the 2025 graphic. I see what you're saying. Okay, that's why you want me to take it down. Now I see. It took me a second. Ev, you with me? 90 seconds on the clock. Is that an homage purple t-shirt that you're rocking down there? Sure looks like you've become a poster boy as a brand ambassador for one of our past sponsors. 90 seconds on the clock. If you want to share a thought, please do so. You can click the link that I have included as a pinned comment in my live chat. And let's go to Mr. DC, who I'm sure is a huge fan, as I may have seen from earlier today in the flood of comments we got on Deebo Samuel. Evan is on the record for saying, no, he doesn't want Deebo. 90 seconds on the clock. Welcome back to the program, brother. Who should they be targeting?
I was about to say, that's not fair. You got to make me start my 90 seconds off saying, fuck Deebo. I do not want Deebo. Anyway, my guy is re-sign D-Hop. I think this wide receiver room desperately needs some continuity, which we haven't had. I mean, especially at the wide wide, the wide out 3 position. I don't know why I'm tripping up on that, but anyway. So I think we need to re-sign D-Hop. I love Jawan Jennings. I don't think he wants to come here. As your boy just pointed out, he's like a wideout 2 on a low end. Was playing wideout 1 for San Francisco for a little bit. So it's like, why would he want to come to Baltimore to be in D-Hop's role? What D-Hop's role was last year. This doesn't make sense. He also wants too much money.
The elephant in the room, I'll pause this for a second. I mean, look, it's a run-first offense. Like, there are some players, to your point, that don't want to go to Baltimore, and that's okay.
Yeah, and I'm not even saying it from like the same like as like Marquise Allen or like they don't trust Lamar or like I'm not saying it's anything like that, but I just don't think his role is like it's appealing for a guy who is, and I don't think it's appealing for Baltimore to give him $20 million to do what D-Hop did last season. It just doesn't make sense for either party. Now give me a little bit of more time because I need to address something real quick. This whole Zay Flowers, oh, he's not a wide receiver on like other teams. Like, what is that? That doesn't mean anything. Like, no, he's not gonna take Justin Jefferson's job or like the top 5 receivers in the league. But there's at least 15 teams right now in the NFL that Zay Flowers is getting paid at least $30 million a year to play for. This whole he's not a wideout one on all these other teams, it doesn't mean anything. It sounds really cool, but it just doesn't mean anything.
Well, all that matters is 1, what the market dictates, 2, your production, and 3, what's your representation going to do? And
I mean,
those
Alec
3
Pierce
things
just got
right now. Hey,
Yeah.
those 3 things are in his favor. So I hear what you're saying. I think the idea is, what will the market dictate for his production? And that's really the end of the story. That's the beginning and the end of it.
Yeah,
And
I guess I'm just trying to understand what people like, because you said it earlier, like what you mean when you say, is he a wide receiver 1 on 31 other teams? Like, it just seems like an unfair characterization, unnecessary characterization of a guy who is a wide receiver 1 on one of the best offenses in the NFL right now.
Well, let me be clear. I did say it, but I'll also be clear that I don't think that's going to affect his contract negotiations at all, to your point. So,
yeah. Okay.
Look, he's going to get paid based on what the market dictates and based on the fact that he has been a 1,000 or more yard trusty receiver for Lamar since he came in the league. And while he's not built like your prototypical wide receiver that everybody wants in Baltimore, he will be paid handsomely at some point within the next year. And it's no coincidence that he changed his representation prior to this past season.
Yeah, hopefully we pay him because I think he's a weapon. So
I think he's worthy of it. Thanks, brother.
Yep.
What that number is, I don't know. I know Wes floated out that $27 million number that he would not be willing to do. That obviously remains to be seen. Guest lines are cooking. Let me get a read in here, guys. I appreciate you for being with me. Do have a 7:00 date scheduled on a Monday night. Wow, that's a first. FanDuel has been with me for the last several months and will continue to be with me throughout the 2026 year. I appreciate them for that. It's great support of the program. And if you guys want to go check out what they have going on, it's one of the best weeks of the year, obviously, from a college basketball standpoint. Selection Sunday was yesterday. And as you can see here in their featured popular same game parlay bet section, they want to know which teams are going to reach the Elite Eight. And you've got 4 to choose from here to consider. Will Duke reach the Final 8? Arizona, Michigan, Nebraska. Go check it out. One of the many parlay bets you can take a look at sportsbook.fanduel.com. There's a bunch of different leagues as well, from hockey to soccer to the World Baseball Classic. How about Gunnar Henderson last night? The difference against the Dominican Republic. You got Major League Baseball, of course, as well. Spring training in action as we speak. College football, the NFL, WNBA, tennis, UFC, and a bunch of NBA games that are in action tonight, including the Warriors in D.C. against the Wizards. Go check it out. Appreciate you guys. And, I really kind of find it, I don't know if I find it humorous or actually just kind of pathetic that Orno style 942 is still barking in the live chat. I've invited him on, rather politely, I might add. I've invited him on to challenge him. What I mean by challenging him, he runs his mouth like a barking dog in my comment section. I notice it relatively often. It's dirt off my shoulder because he has a Colin Kaepernick profile photo. So I have no idea who it is on the other end. I consider him, to be quite honest with you, I think he just, for the most part, folds like a board or like a lawn chair in different aspects of life. So consider this yet another challenge to just simply call in and see if when the lights are on, right? When the lights are on, not when they're off, but when the lights are on, Orno style 942, can you stand up and stand tall? And I got my doubts about that. Back to the guest lines we go. Appreciate you for being with me tonight. It's chronological order in terms of how you came in. Olu, you ready to roll? 90 seconds on the clock. The Southern boy himself's with us. What's going on, brother? The floor is yours.
Man, first off, I want to give a shout out to my boy Obafemi for his new gig on that Ravens show. I watch it pretty often. Man, so let's go D-Hop. Let's do D-Hop because you guys put up today on the vault for the volume, the same volume that our number 2 got. He was right there with it and actually exceeded it. Did
you think about having that on the bingo card prior to last season, that he's going to out-target
Rashad Bateman? And actually, I want to say 2 of those touchdowns got called back. So you should have had 4 touchdowns. I know one for a fact that I want to say it was Cleveland. I think somebody got a offensive offsides penalty on the line. 2, this whole Zay Flowers thing, man. I mean, that's crazy. He's our number 1. It is what it is. Now, I would like to see, I hate to say this for Rashad, but if you would entertain an A.J. Brown, it would have to involve sending him somewhere. For some reason, I just don't think Rashad and Lamar are going to be on the same page, even in the new scheme, because they play totally different. But with Declan saying that he wanted Lamar to be more on time, that might actually help Rashad Bateman, because what was it, 2 years ago? He was one of the top 10 most openest receivers in the league, whatever, as far as separation. So anyway, peace out, man. Love you and Sarah. And man, quit worrying about them fucking trolls, man. Fuck them guys. All right, I'm out.
See you, man. Appreciate you, Olu. Again, that's just you want a guy like Olu in your corner, and you want a guy like Olu when you're going into the dark alley to be flanking you, right, Olu? Like I know you're going to be flanking me if that opportunity were to ever present itself. Look, the 49ers are signing Christian Kirk to a 1-year, $6 million deal. He becomes the latest, as of earlier this afternoon, to come off the list of potential targets that the Ravens might have been interested in. I have no idea whether or not they are or were interested in him, but this is a figure very similar to what they brought in DeAndre Hopkins for a year ago. It was 1 year, $5 million. Kirk gets 1 year, $6 million to go to San Francisco, and they just brought in Mike Evans last week as well. So they're loading up. Not that either one of those guys are in their prime right now, but obviously there is no shortage of playmaking ability really littered all throughout that 49ers roster. Let's get an update on the poll as well as we approach 500 votes. And I asked you guys tonight, which veteran wide receiver should the Ravens be targeting in free agency? And D-Hop is still in the lead at 56%. Jawan Jennings is at 22%. Deebo, 14%. And Keenan Allen at 7%. Just sort of an exercise that I did there with Keenan. I know that he likely wants to finish his career, I would think, in Los Angeles, where it all began for him a decade ago. But we'll have to see how that shakes out. Now, look, Olu brought up something interesting there, right? Because he talked about the timing. He talked about Declan's vision for Lamar Jackson. And I thought it'd be good. I didn't actually have any plans to do this, but let's just quickly revisit part of what he had to say when he sat down on the lounge with Cliff and Garrett last month to talk a little bit about his visions for Lamar.
Certainly talented in a number of ways. When you watch the tape, there's not really any throws that he can't make. He's very arm talented. I think there's a number of things that you watch that I think that he can get even better. I think there's even a higher ceiling to his game. You're looking at a guy who's been the MVP twice, and yet I still think that just like all of our guys, but I think he still has room to grow as well. And so, he's a very exciting player. Obviously, you see what he can do off schedule. He can throw off platform. What he can do with his legs is really special and as a ball carrier. But I think that any player, it takes, really being able to work with them hands-on, be able to watch him, figure out what he does best, and then be able to shape and build this offense around what those things are. Yeah, I think there's the benefit of having a quarterback like that is the defense has to defend 2 plays on every play. And so there's the play that is called, there's the choreographed play that we come up with that we're trying to be the best in the world at getting number 1 open in the progression. And so that play is called, there's a certain, rhythm and a timing to that play. It's a set, choreographed routes, our protection, all those things. And yet when you have a quarterback that can create, if that play, it really allows him to be an eraser. And so if we make a game planning mistake, if they play a coverage that we're not expecting, if a receiver doesn't run the route quite the right way and he works through his progression, now the defense has to defend a second play. And so obviously we have to have a contingency plan as far as the spacing of our routes and how we fit into that. But it allows the quarterback to be able to create and erase and create big plays when a defense has to defend that as he, either flushes or starts to press the line of scrimmage.
Something you've said a couple of times is explosive plays, and mentioned that. Like I remember the quote last year that Ben Johnson had when he was asked about the tush push, when he was like, I don't like the tush push because I've never seen a tush push become an explosive play. I want explosive plays, right? And so I'm just curious how you go about, I think everybody would probably say that, but it seems in here, like in talking with you, that explosive plays is part of your offensive identity and what you want. And so how do you go about achieving that and making that kind of a staple of your offense?
Yeah.
Anyway, that cut off right there, but I think we all get it. These are his visions. Timing, defenses having to play and defend multiple plays when it comes to Lamar Jackson. And you get the sense that cadence, rhythm, timing, more enhanced mechanical improvements, footwork, everything under the sun will be up for constructive feedback and improvement in this new Declan Doyle heavy tight end usage type offense that is not afraid to take deep shots. That was the case last year with Ben and Declan and Caleb and everything they accomplished offensively speaking with the Bears. This just popped up on my timeline a short while ago here. And it's not the first and it will not be the last of Spencer Fano, the Utah tackle, falling to the Ravens at 14 here. And Joel Klatt, college football personality, has exactly that happening in his mock draft 2.0. So he's got Ty Simpson going at 16. Again, if Ty were to go in those first 13 picks and there's to be two quarterbacks, that helps the Ravens with a potential player falling in their lap at 14. He's got Kenyon Sadiq, the talented Oregon tight end that I've been spending a lot of time on in recent days, going the pick before them to the Rams. He's got Caleb Downs to Dallas at 12. And you see the rest of this. He's got Reuben Bain as a top 10 pick. Look, they've got their bookend tackles taken care of. But I'd have to think that if they're selecting Spencer Fano, they feel pretty good about his potential future projected replacement of Ronnie Stanley, but more importantly, maybe his ability to play guard right out of the gate, depending on his positional flexibility. So 90 seconds on the clock. Appreciate you guys for being with me. Let's go back to the waiting room. It's cooking tonight. We're coming up on that 1,000 concurrent number between YouTube and Twitter. So appreciate you guys. And Femi's cracking me up right now in the live chat. The energy tonight is electric. Anai, are you in Florida right now? Welcome back to the program, brother. 90 seconds on the clock. The floor is yours.
Yep, I'm actually in Florida right now. I'm in your city or state, I guess.
Hell yeah. What you got for us tonight? Who's the wide receiver that you're targeting?
I want Juwan Jennings, but I don't think it's realistic. And I say that because we aren't a wide receiver heavy team. We don't use them the way Juwan Jennings would want to be used, and he would want the ball. He would want the yards. And I just don't think with Zay, he's going to get the yards he wants. So I don't think we're going to pay $20+ million for Juwan to be alongside Zay and really not get the ball because we like running it. But the main thing I want to talk about, and the other guy kind of alluded to it, was the whole Zay Flowers contract. His 5th-year option is $27 million, I believe, if they pick it up. And to his point, I don't think they would pay that to a wide receiver just because they've never paid a wide receiver so much money. And especially if they pick up Juwan, they ain't paying $27 million. And I don't think even the market's going to dictate that much for him anyway, because looking around, there isn't a lot of teams that would use Zay as their number one. They might use him as their number two, but he not a number one. And I know people are gonna blow up at me in the live chat for that. But to your point, 31 other teams. I don't see 31 other teams getting rid of, like how Tyler Linderbaum had a bidding war for him. I don't see that same thing happening for Zay. But we do need to hop on him early and get him under contract.
But at the
So we
same
don't have a
time, the
Tyler
only
Linderbaum
thing that
situation
matters,
should it
though,
come to that.
the only thing that matters, though, is his production. If he stacks another 1,000-yard receiving season in 26, he continues to stay healthy as he has been for the most part throughout his career.
Damn, I can't hear you.
He's going to be paid. You can't hear me anymore, brother? You still with us? All right, and I appreciate you, man. I don't know what happened there. 90 seconds on the clock. Maurice, welcome to the program. The floor is yours.
Hey, Bobby, can you hear me?
Look at you all tricked out over there. Look at this guy, Maurice Mania.
All right. Well, so my answer to the poll, it's like a part of me wants to go Jennings, but very likely Jennings wants nothing to do with coming to Baltimore. But I feel like, bringing DeAndre Hopkins back, I feel like it is the right way to go about it. And memory serves correctly, D-Hop did make it crystal clear that, he enjoys sharing the field with Lamar. And sure, he may be up there in age. He'll be turning 34 on June 6th. But, at least he has, reliable hands. So, like, if you got a guy who was a 5-time Pro Bowler and 3-time first-team All-Pro, if he has reliable hands, go ahead and get that guy. We need more receivers on our team who has reliable hands. And everybody knows D-Hop has always been that dog since his college days at Clemson. And I remember this like it's yesterday. One of his best games during his time at Clemson was against my Ohio State Buckeyes in the Orange Bowl. And unfortunately, that's the same game when Braxton Miller got hurt. And I don't want to talk about that. I'm still traumatized by that. But DeAndre Hopkins, it is a brilliant move. Sure, he's up there in age, but again, whichever receiver has the best hands, reliable hands, go ahead and sign him. Do not let him leave out of Baltimore because we're going to need more weapons on the team. A guy like him, and who knows, maybe he will be a hell of a compliment to Declan Doyle's offense. But, we'll just have to wait until September rolls around and see how things transpire. But we got to bring D-Hop back. We cannot let him leave. But that's my answer to the poll.
Brother, appreciate you, Maurice. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks for having me.
Reliable hands. Phenomenal breakdown there for Maurice. And the best setup in the game. Appreciate you. Coming up on that 1,000 concurrent number. Thank you guys for being with me tonight. If you could like the video on your way in, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We got here because DeAndre tweeted what he did earlier today that has since been deleted. And it was this, quote tweeting Nick Mason from Ravens Twitter, and said, how many times after this, and it was a highlight reel attached to it, do you think I was using the red zone? When targeted, I'm still one of the most productive, but never complained with my snaps and never will. Facts. It was a low volume role for him that he played in year one with Baltimore. Just 22 receptions on 39 targets, 330 yards receiving, and 2 touchdowns in 17 games for the future first ballot Hall of Famer. He still feels like he has more left to give. Perhaps the Ravens will inquire about his services. Back to the guest lines we go. 90 seconds on the clock. Jason, the floor is yours, my man. Thanks for the call. What's going on?
Hey, Bobby. I chose Hopkins out of the ones that you listed on the as options on the list, but what I would prefer isn't listed. And what I would prefer to get at wide receiver is not a wide receiver, but a center. I think Ethan Pozick is the guy that the Ravens need to sign before they address wide receiver, because they don't have anybody at center with NFL snaps right now. They have guys, at least with some experience at wide receiver, and I wouldn't mind them bringing back D-Hop at all at the price that he's probably going to command. And I agree with the others that Jennings is going to be too expensive for the production that he's going to give them. But as far as wide receiver, I don't think that the room is actually going to be improved unless they pick up one of the top wide receivers in the draft. And I think that the top wide receivers in the draft are pretty good this year. I mean, maybe they're not Julio Jones good, but if they get Carnell Tate or Mekhi Lemon at 14, I'd be pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
If
That's
they
big time
get a
value,
Jordan
too.
Tyson or a Denzel Boston, but even if they go offensive line in round one, there are still some other options like Skylar Bell and Chris Bell. Jacoby Lane is somebody that you should pay attention to in round 3 or 4. Other than that, it's just a lot of old guys. It doesn't look very good on the free agent front.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you. I'm going to talk a little bit about Ethan here in a second. Jason from Russell Street Report, newest writer there. Go check him out. Appreciate his commentary. Ethan is a veteran at this point. He is 30. He'll be 31 in August. He was a second-round pick out of LSU in 2017 by Seattle, where he spent the first 4 years of his career. He's been with Cleveland ever since, and he's someone who has a lot of starting reps under his belt. Almost 3,000 to be exact career snaps. He's been reliable from a durability standpoint, and that is who Jason is requesting they take a look at in terms of potential centers, potential veteran centers. And again, perhaps they go down the route of competition this summer. Certainly that was lacking in recent years at guard. I think we all kind of felt like Fa'alele needed to compete for the job that appeared to just be handed to him this past offseason. But Ethan Posick, perhaps an option for them moving forward. They did have Danny Pinter in within the last week or so, according to a transaction wire for a visit. He's a veteran, and you can bet that they're going to bring in someone inevitably throughout the 3 days of NFL draft weekend. And you never know what the undrafted class ends up being. They already have Corey Bullock on an ERFA tender 1 year for just over $1 million. He's the undrafted rookie out of Maryland, who's I thought performed admirably at times, whether that be in preseason play or the offseason program when in last summer's case, Tyler Linderbaum was dealing with a summer injury, and Corey got some opportunities to run with the ones and look the part. So perhaps he'll get a chance to legitimately compete for that starting position at some point this upcoming offseason. Again, not to mislead any of you guys with this graphic on the screen, but we talked about DeAndre Hopkins all evening and really all day since his tweet went out. And I just wanted to throw this up. This is last year's figures. It is 1 year, $5 million base value that he played for in 25. There were 4 void years for cap purposes, $1 million in incentives, and you see the way that the cap was distributed over last year and this year. So again, being that Christian Kirk just became the latest, he goes to San Francisco on a very similar deal. I don't see why they couldn't bring DeAndre back if there is a mutual interest from both parties to the operation this year. So just so we're keeping up with what's going on there, that's the latest with one of the potential targets that I had in the poll tonight. And the final count with over 500 votes is an overwhelming DeAndre Hopkins from you in the court of public opinion. 56% of you say that that's who they should be targeting. Jawan Jennings garners 22% of the vote. Deebo, 15. Keenan Allen, 7. And that's where things end right now. Appreciate you guys for hanging out with me tonight. And as always, if you could on the way out, please like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Hit that notification bell. Consider becoming a channel member or gift-giving membership this offseason. If you want to donate to the program, you can always do so through Venmo or Cash App. Nothing's ever expected. Anything and everything is most certainly appreciated. And you see the handles right there on the screen. Sarah and I will be back at 12 noon Eastern tomorrow. And until then, appreciate the support. Thanks for hanging out with me. And thanks for making it a hilariously live and active live chat commentary tonight. Thanks for those of you who also tuned in and called in. And a special shout out to those who didn't, including guys who tend to fold and fold often inside this channel. And that is Orno Style and Fumble Flock. They do keep the lights on, though. We appreciate them for their services, even though a lot of their comments truly do not move any of us. We call it dirt off the shoulder, specks off the shoulder. You know how it goes. Thanks, guys. I'll catch up with you tomorrow, if not before. Sarah and I will catch you at 12 noon Eastern tomorrow. And again, thank you to Preston Automotive Group and FanDuel for all the support. We'll be back inside the collective tomorrow night 8 o'clock Eastern as well. Mark your calendars accordingly.